Hello and welcome back to another exciting Tech Connect video. In this video, we are taking a deep dive into the eSightGo, taking a look at its buttons and features. Just waiting for Corey so we can start the video. Oh wait, there he is.
Let's go. As Luke mentioned, we are taking a look at the brand new eSightGo. If you've been following our channel, or at least the evolution of the eSight device, you will know that this is the fifth iteration, I would say. Yeah. We have a number of videos on the past eSight devices. We actually had an unboxing of the brand new eSightGo. So when you're done with this one, or maybe even pause this one and go check out that first.
Yeah, because then you get an idea of what comes included with it and what we thought about the box.
Yeah.
How many ply card the box was.
16, I believe, is what we just determined.
Well, you have to watch the video and find out.
Also, we did a great interview with Jeanette, who works for Gentex, who now purchased eSight. Yeah. Go check that out. It was one of our most recent Tech Connect lives. We spent about 45 minutes or more talking with her. She's an employee, but also a user, and has been for a lot of years and provided a lot of great information. But today, as we promised, everybody has been asking for it. We are going to dive deep into the eSightGo, and we have a lot of tests that we are going to cover today. Yes. First, we're going to talk about the hardware overview. We'll just kind of give a little brief synopsis of the device, the button layout. Then we're going to run some tests. We're going to do a close-up test, so reading a book, some kind of material. We're going to do distance, using it, looking at far in the distance.
At different distances as well.
We will do multiple distances under one test, though.
Oh, okay.
We'll also do a test on color sensitivity. We'll do a test on low light performance. How does it work in low light situations? Yep. We're going to take a look at how does it perform when trying to watch TV. And last, we're going to take it outside and see how it does in conditions that maybe are very sunny, although I'm not sure today is super sunny. But we're going to put it through its paces. All of these tests are feedback that we've gotten from viewers that ask questions about our other wearables, and so we want to make sure we give you everything that you're looking for, so stick with us. Before we dive into some of the tests, we should go over the hardware overview. Otherwise, you're not going to know how to use it. Luke, you need
to me specifically?
Yes, you need to pay attention as I talk about this. There's actually two main pieces to the eSightGo. First, we're going to talk about the battery pack. So the way they've designed it this time is kind of a horseshoe design that actually fits around your neck. And then the batteries on each side, and they kind of lean against your shoulder blades. Quite comfortable. I don't really feel it at all when it's on. I think it's a smart design. Keeps the weight down, especially from the headset.
Exactly, yeah.
There's really only two main things that you need to know about the battery pack. First, on the back, there is a USB-C port that's going to be used to both charge your battery pack, but also it's used to connect your battery pack directly to the eSightGo glasses. And then right above that, you're going to find a single button. Pressing that button will light up 4 LEDs.
Yes, you got it.
And that will let you know your battery status visually. But the eSightGo will also show you your battery status on the glasses and speak it out verbally. But if you don't have your eSightGo glasses connected, then you can just get a quick overview of what your battery status looks like.
Interestingly, with the previous eSight, you could shake the batteries to see the LED indicators.
Is that right? I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah, it was actually really hard to do though, so I'm glad that they put a button on this one instead.
I think too many people shook it and they flew out of their hands and broke a window, so it's probably good that they did that. Moving on to the second piece, and obviously probably the most important piece, that is the eSightGo glasses themselves. I find these to be pretty good. Now, are they traditional sunglasses or glasses? No, we're not there yet. But I would say it's getting pretty close, and these might be one of the closest there. I think the arms are a little thicker than you would expect, and the glasses themselves are still thicker. But all in all, it's a pretty light device. and comfortable. I believe the headset and the battery pack together weighs a little over 13 ounces, so it's pretty light all in all.
Yeah, well, just one quick thing as well, Corey, for those who aren't familiar with wearables, this device has got a camera in the front and video screens on the inside, and so as you are wearing the device, you are seeing on the video screens what the camera is looking at, and then you can adjust the image through magnification and various other features.
Yeah, which we'll be showing. And I do believe the camera is mounted right in the center, right above my nose, and as Luke said, there's a screens on each in front of each of my eyes, which obviously makes the glass, the front part, thicker than you would expect because it's housing all that electronics in there. While the glasses are on, they are pretty comfortable all in all. They do. It comes, if you saw our unboxing, you notice it came with 4 different earpieces. Nose pieces is what I meant to say. So you want to make sure you adjust and get the right one so that the glasses are kind of seated correctly on your face so that they're lined, screens are lined up with your eyes. Or if it's feeling uncomfortable, make sure that you have the right nose piece in. Buttons. On the left arm, we have, starting from my ear and moving towards the front, the first thing we come to is not a button, but actually the USB-C port. As I mentioned on the battery pack, there's a USB-C port. So we're gonna run a short USB cable from our eSightGo glasses to the battery pack, and that's how they're powered. Moving towards my temple, we're gonna have one single button, and that's our power button. Holding it down will wake it up and power it on or power it off.
Yes.
Tapping it once will either put it to sleep or wake it back up, depending on what status it's currently in.
Exactly.
On the right-hand side, if we start again back from my ear and move up, the first button we have is our settings button. Pressing that once brings us into settings. Holding it down freezes the image, which you'll show us later. As we continue to move away from my ear, the first button we come to now, or I should say our second button, is the volume down key or the down arrow. Depending on what mode you're in, it's going to adjust volume or color contrast, whatever you might be in, or contrast, I should say. As we continue moving, we have a up button. That's obviously going to do the opposite of the down. Very good. And our last button closest to our temple is going to be the mode button. Pressing this is going to switch through the different modes, which Luke will be showing us in just a moment. Pressing and holding it will actually reset our view and kind of take us back to the default mode. So now that we know what all the buttons are and we know how to use the device, let's dive in and do our first test, which will be utilizing it for close-up or reading tasks.
Corey, let's go.
eSightGo? Before we jump into our test, we did want to mention the eSightGo companion app. This allows you to do a couple cool things. First, it does allow you to connect your glasses to a Wi-Fi network. You can do it from the glasses, but from the app's a little bit easier. And secondly, you can share your view so any sighted friends or family or trainers can see what you're seeing through your glasses on their screen, making it a way for them to help you and take part in what you're seeing.
And that's how we're recording the footage today, Corey, just recording from our phone screen.
We are.
Yep, so hopefully it's working well. And here we're going to start the first test, which is reading up close. Obviously, Corey, this is something that a lot of people want to be able to do.
Yes.
And it's not necessarily the easiest thing to do with wearables, just because it can be hard to keep your head steady as you're trying to track sentences when they're magnified. So not necessarily, the best way to read, but it is something a lot of people want to do. So to do the test with the eSight, Corey, I have my favorite book, and I'm sure you're familiar with this one.
Yes.
I Love You More, Baby Saw.
Oh, I love you. Oh, sorry. Yes, that is one of my favorites.
So we're gonna go ahead and zoom in on this book and look at some of the pictures and the text and change the colors. But Corey, we also have another nifty feature which is unique to the eSightGo, and that would be the tilt function. Oh. And that allows us to tilt the camera down in order to see things which are kind of, below our eye level without having to bend our neck so much. So for reading, that's really nice because you're not having to crank your neck in order to see the book. So I'm excited to try that out. I'm gonna go ahead and use my mode button here. We're going to go through to where it says tilt, and now I'm going to use the down arrow to reduce the tilt, and that will basically bring the camera down. This is a digital tilt here, not an analog tilt. but it doesn't really make a difference. I've just tilted down and now I can see the book even though I'm holding it fairly low and I'm not actually cranking my neck at all at the moment. So this is really nice and comfortable. So I can see the title, I Love You More Baby Saw. I'm going to switch the mode back to magnification and we'll zoom in on the title here. I'm at zoom 5. This is quite large and I can read it. Now, I'm not visually impaired. However, I do have a high hyperopic glasses prescription and I can't read without my glasses on. And I don't have my glasses on at the moment, but I am able to read this nice and comfortably now that I have zoomed in. The zoom goes up to 24 times, Corey, so that's best in class for these wearables. You can really make things very large, which is nice. Here's the picture of the dinosaur. We have a, I'm going to say Diplodocus, although I think they might have been renamed. Any ideas, Corey? What a Diplodocus is called these days?
No.
Okay, good. If you know, please put it in the comments. But the color reproduction is very nice. It looks quite naturalistic. It's not too overhyped or anything. Sometimes the overhyping of the colors can be helpful, just to help you kind of see what colors there are. But this one does look really nice. I'm going to go ahead and open the page here. And again, I've got a picture here. Very nice color reproduction. Let's look at the words. Now, these are a little fuzzy to me just because, again, I haven't got my glasses on. So I'm going to zoom up a little bit higher. Oops. Get back to the zoom here. Okay, I'm on the zoom 9 at the moment. I can read, "You make my heart soar." That's S-A-U-R, dinosaur fans. Above trees and mountains too. So yes, I'm able to read that pretty good. Now there is image stabilization going on here, Corey, and so it's not the image isn't jumping about too much, which is pretty cool because at this level of magnification, oftentimes people do struggle with the image bouncing around.
And this seems to be a newer feature that's starting to be added. We saw it in the Idaptic 5, right? Yeah. And now we're seeing it in the new eSightGo, this image stabilization, and I think it's going to make a big difference for wearables. That's always been an issue, is that jitteriness, especially on your head when you're talking or moving your head around.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think it's always been there to some extent, but it just seems to be a lot better now.
Sure.
So I'm literally talking while wearing this, and the image is staying really stable. So I think they've done a fantastic job with the image stabilization here. Let's zoom up a little higher. And let's see, so I'm on 17 times now, which is really quite high, and you can see like a little bit of fuzziness at the higher magnification levels here. That's pretty normal for this type of device. It's certainly not unusable, and it's certainly a really nice size, so that's good. Let's quickly try out some of the color modes here. So I'm going to switch into the color filters mode, and I'll see what colors we've got available here. Okay, so we have a grayscale. This is just black and white. And that's working absolutely fine. And now we have white text on a black background. Now, unfortunately, as I move my head here, the image kind of glitches out a little bit and becomes, well, you guys should be able to see what's happening, but it's a lot of noise in the image, basically. So when you don't have that noise, it looks really nice and sharp, deep blacks and, you know, sharp whites. But yeah, the noise really makes it a little unusable.
Does adjusting your zoom level, if you bring your zoom level down, does that decrease the noise at all, or is it sort of across the board?
So let me reduce the magnification. We'll check it out here. Yeah, and I gotta say, Corey, that did make a big difference. Yeah, so it's a lot better now. It is still having some funky effects around the outside of the text, which is inside like an oval. So weirdly now, outside of the oval, it's kind of glitching out, but inside the oval where the text is, it's all nice and clear. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, there is obviously some processing going on here, and so it's trying to figure out kind of how to apply this color. And it looks like maybe the algorithm needs to be tweaked a little bit just to get the most out of it, which I'm sure they could do in a future update. Let's just check out some of the other colors real quick here, see what we have available. So we're on white and black at the moment. We also have black text on a white background, and that was actually looking pretty good, probably better than the white text on a black background. And then we have blue text on a yellow background, yellow text on a blue background. That's probably my favorite one. Yes, that looks really nice. And then back to normal. So not too many choices, but they've got the important ones. It's just a shame that there's that kind of weird issue with the noise there. Yeah, if you can get it so that that noise is reduced, and maybe it does take reducing the magnification, then it does look pretty nice.
And you've been using the buttons on the device itself to control it, but it does come with a wireless remote, which our box unfortunately had a little apology note.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
And then one thing I didn't mention is I talked about the companion app, that if you do share your view, when you do so, you have some virtual controls that pop up on your device.
That's right, yeah.
Your iPhone, your Android, and you can control it that way too, but you've been just using the built-in ones.
Yeah, just the buttons. It's really easy to operate because there's not too many buttons and there's not too many choices. I'm looking at a magazine now just to take a look at some of the pictures on here. It's a glossy magazine, and again, color reproduction, as far as I can tell, is nice. I think the colors look natural, but also they kind of do pop in a way which makes it easy to see them. And we'll just quickly look at some of the text in here. This would be standard size magazine print, so a little bit smaller than what you would get in a children's book, like I was just reading. And we'll use our zoom here, and let's get it up to 21 times, okay? Ooh. So we're really pumped up, and we are starting to see some of that fuzziness a bit more now, Corey. So the image is definitely a little fuzzier, but it's still like the stabilization is still working well.
Good.
And I am able to read the words here. Now, obviously, results are going to vary depending on your vision loss, but for me, like, this is working pretty good. So yeah, all in all, Corey, I do think it would be feasible to read with the eSight, and that's one of the challenging things for a wearable. So pretty good so far.
Would you say it passed the reading test?
I think it did. I think it passed the reading test.
I won't ask for a grade. We'll do a pass-fail.
Yeah. And you know, obviously results will vary depending on the individual, so I don't like to say definitively that this is the answer for you. However, I did find that to work pretty well. So why don't we move on to the next test, Corey, and we can see how this thing works while looking into the distance. Okay, so we saw how this performs up close, but let's take a look into the distance. I have my lovely assistant, Corey Ballard, ready with a chart, and we're gonna try reading it. So first things first, let's rotate toward Corey here. And here's, with the Snellen chart there, it does say for use at 5 feet, but we've got him at 10 feet away at the moment. I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in, and I'm gonna see what I'm able to read on the chart. Now, just for comparison's sake, with the glasses off, I can't read anything on the chart. So that's where we're starting from.
Hold on. Nope, I can't read anything either.
All right, thank you for checking. So let's go ahead and zoom in here. All right, I am at 10 times at the moment, and I'm starting to be able to read the letters on the chart. And we have an F and a P at the top and an L, F, E, D. Still a little hard for me to read though, and I can't read what's under that second line, so I'm gonna zoom up a little further here. Now I'm on 17 times, and it really has started to, you know, to become a lot clearer at this point. So I can clearly see the F and the P at the start, L, P, E, D, and then an E, D, F, C, Z, P, a D, E, F, P, O, T, E, C. And underneath that, I'm struggling a little bit. Let me try and zoom in a touch more. I'm at 22 times now, almost at the maximum. I can read the next line, L, E, R, O, D, F, G, T, I think, but it is a little fuzzy. And the bottom line, unfortunately, I'm not able to read. But having read, you know, most of the lines there, when I couldn't read any of the lines before, that's obviously a big improvement. Now, Corey is currently at 10 feet away, but let's put this thing to the limits. We're gonna ask Corey to step back a few more steps, and we'll see what we can do. Corey, are you able to step back a few more steps?
Sure, what would you like me to go to, 15?
Let's try and go to 15. There is a tree behind you, so be a little bit careful.
Okay, so I'm at 10, I'm taking bigger steps. That's probably about 15.
Let's go back a touch more. Let's really try and put this through its paces. Right. Okay, let's stop there. So we're quite far back, maybe between 15 and 20 here at the moment. And again, we'll go ahead and zoom in and just see how this works. So I'm gonna go up to, all right, so at 20, then it's, you know, the larger ones are starting to be nice and comfortable. So we've got F, P, L, P, E, D, E, D, R, C, Z, P. Okay, I think that's right. And then we're gonna zoom a little bit more. And okay, unfortunately, that was the third line down I was just reading. Unfortunately, the fourth line down this time is just a little bit too fuzzy. I can see a couple of letters, an E and R, G and a T maybe. But yeah, it's a little bit tricky. Now, let's try and do this though. Instead of zooming in all the way and doing the live magnification, I'm actually gonna do the image freeze, which Corey had mentioned before. So we can hold down the settings button, that will freeze the image. So I'm gonna do that. and the image is now frozen on the screen. Now at this point I can magnify the frozen image, so I'm looking at a picture of the chart this time, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on the picture. Let me just do this. Okay, now I'm zooming in on the picture. I can move my head, and it has got gyroscopes, so it will detect my head movement, and so I can kind of look around the magnified image, and I can see the FP, LP, ED, ED, FC, ZP. And the line underneath that is still fuzzy, but I have to say it is easier to read at distance like this because the image is a lot more stable. And so it does help me to keep everything steady as I'm trying to read. So I do think that freeze will work well for looking and trying to read things in the distance for sure.
Rather than just reading from the distance, Luke, what about if you instead focused on my face, which maybe is what somebody might be doing looking at sports or something off in the distance? Are you able to get any features of my handsome face?
I was going to do that, Corey, but I was slightly scared. But for the sake of the video, we'll give it a try. So we're at 19 times here. Corey's head is basically filling the screen here. And yeah, I can see...
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's a large head. I can see you in good detail here. I have to say, yeah, like the features are coming through nicely. Again, a little bit fuzzier at the higher magnifications, but I can definitely tell it's you, so no problems there. One more thing we're going to try real quick here, Corey, is we'll try the different colors at distance. And so I'll look at the chart again here, and we're going to go to our color filter mode. Let's see if we still get that noise in the image. So we'll go ahead and flip over to... Oops, sorry, I'm on contrast there. Here we go. Let's flip through to the white and black. And we'll zoom up just a little bit here. And yeah, so the white and the blacks again are really nice, and kind of really bright whites and dark blacks. But unfortunately, the ghosting, the noise that we're getting here on the image kind of makes it unusable to read at this magnification, at this distance. I can see the largest letters, but below that, unfortunately, it really gets quite messy. So again, we do seem to have that same type of issue there with those color filters, which is unfortunate. Anyway, I think that's enough distance testing. We can see there that it does work pretty well for reading in the distance and looking at objects in the distance. And with the level of magnification that you get, you really can zoom up on things that are quite far away. So that's pretty nice. Next thing to do though, Corey, is test the contrast sensitivity and see what we can do if things just need a little bit more contrast. All right, so time for the contrast sensitivity test, and luckily with the booklet that eSight provide, we do actually have some numbers on a page which are getting less and less contrasty, and we can use the contrast adjustment on the eSight to hopefully make those a little easier to see. So let's see how it works. I'm going to turn toward Corey here. We are in zoom mode at the moment, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom up on this page. Here we go. Okay, and at the top of the page we have numbers which are pretty dark here, so we're starting without needing any contrast enhancement. We can see a 23635, a 39417.
Hey, that's my phone number.
And after that though, things are starting to get pretty difficult to see, a lot less contrast. So this is where we're going to use the contrast function of the eSight to bring those into sharper relief. I'm going to go ahead and go to the contrast mode. I'm going to hit the up arrow here, and we're starting to add contrast.
Contrast 2, contrast 3, contrast.
And I'm on contrast 4 currently, and I can definitely see a couple more lines here nice and clearly. So I've got to 13826 and a 68945. Now there is one more line here that it's just not quite in sharp enough relief yet. Let me see if I can increase the contrast even more. Okay, and it's not really helping on that bottom line. Let me try some magnification instead here. Yeah, so 29479, can that be right? It's something like that. It's definitely still quite washed out, so we're not quite getting that bottom line, but we are again about 10 feet away here, so this is a distance test, remember, and this contrast could be used up close or in the distance depending on what you're trying to look at, and it does appear like it's done a pretty good job for the most part of enhancing the contrast. Now we do have some of those kind of weird visual glitches that we've already discussed with some of those color filter modes. There is a little bit of that going on with the contrast mode here as well, and so that's something to be aware of, but it did seem to be a lot more controlled than with some of those color filters. So definitely a useful feature to have. If you need a little bit more contrast, just get into the mode and give it a try. Okay, so now for the low light test. I know a lot of people do ask for this test when we do wearable demonstrations, and we want to see how it's going to perform in low light conditions. Now, I'm well lit at the moment because I have a studio light on me, but this room is actually quite dark. Corey, how dark do you think the room is right now?
Very dark.
Very dark.
On a scale of dark to very dark.
Yeah, we're on very
currently
dark.
2 slots down from very dark.
Okay, fair enough. Now, obviously, this is a camera-based device, so we do need light in order for it to work. So we can't, just make it pitch black, but it is pretty darn dark in here right now. And we want to see how well the eSight does in brightening up the image for us. So Corey is still over there, bless his heart, and he's holding the booklet from eSight. And Corey, what page are we turned to at the moment?
Today we're finding out if you can tell the time with an analog clock. Not many people can anymore.
I was going to say, that's a big challenge just by itself, never mind in the dark with a wearable. But let's go ahead and zoom in on this and we'll see what this looks like. And yep, I can easily tell that that is 9:15. Actually, do you know what? The minute hand and the second hand look, and the hour hand, sorry, look to be the same length, so that's slightly confusing. But yeah, it's there's a hand on the 9 and a hand on the 3. I can see you, Corey, without any problem at all, and I can see what you're holding there without any problem at all. I'm looking around the room here, and it's really quite bright already. Now, something that you pointed out, Corey, when we tried to film this video before,
when you called me stupid,
when I may have said something unkind to you, is that the screens have adjustable brightness, and actually that does a really good job of brightening things up even more. So if we go into our settings menu here, and I'm going to go down to the settings, and we'll go to brightness. By default, it's set to auto, so the screens will automatically adjust, but I'm going to turn that off. We're going to go into manual here, and we're going to try our screens at 100%. And they are now super bright. Like, the screens really get very bright, which I think a lot of people will like that. Now, obviously, it's going to impact your battery life, but let's see how that changes things here. For you guys watching, you're probably not going to see the effect of this in the screen recording because this is actually the screens inside the headset and how bright they are. But I'm going to report to you that this does make a massive difference. Things are even brighter now. It literally looks like daytime at this point. Now, the image is a little grainy, and you would expect that because it's having to compensate for the low light conditions. But everything is still, perfectly recognizable, and I'm really quite impressed with the low light, performance here. So yeah, if you're in the market for a device which improves your low light vision, then definitely give this one a try. I think it's one of the better ones. Obviously, something that a lot of people like to do with their wearable is watch television, and so here I am checking out my TV. This is around a 65 or 70-inch television, and I'm around 15 feet away from it. It's mounted on the wall here. Up on the screen, I have a very handsome gentleman who appears to be wearing a pair of glasses very similar to the ones that I've got on. And let's go ahead and see what this looks like. So I'm running this through my laptop, actually, directly to the television screen. And let's zoom up just a little bit here. Now, yeah, so this actually looks pretty nice. I'm only seeing a portion of the screen at the moment because I am obviously zoomed in on it, so I do have to move my head around in order to see things here. It does look nice. The color reproduction in particular, I think, is very nice looking. I'm in a decently lit room at the moment, so this would be, I think, the amount of lighting that most people would have as they were watching television. And yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Like, I'm not getting any kind of scan lines or anything. The color reproduction is nice. There may be a little bit of fuzziness, but it's hard to tell because, again, I don't have my glasses on, and so that might just be my my vision here. But pretty darn impressed. Now, this eSight doesn't have the ability to input video over HDMI, which previous models have done. And so if you were to watch television, you would have to be looking at the television screen. But from what I can tell here, that would work actually pretty nicely. Now, because I'm running this through my laptop, I can actually look at my laptop screen here. I'm going to use my tilt function just to help get the camera down a little bit. And so now I'm looking at my laptop screen. That's obviously a lot closer. We're talking about a couple of feet away. And again, it's looking pretty nice at the moment. Maybe it might look a bit yellow to you. That's because I have my night light on, and so it's kind of reducing the amount of blue light. But yeah, it looks pretty true to what the laptop screen actually looks like. Now we've just switched into some ads here. But that certainly seems to be quite usable. So Yeah, from what I can tell here, if you're looking at an electronic screen, I think the eSightGo might be a decent device for the job. It really seems to be good in terms of color reproduction and in terms of the clarity of the image as well. So if you're in the market for a wearable for television, you could do a lot worse than trying this one out. Well, here we are outside in the Vision Forward parking lot, and we're going to test the eSightGo looking at things in the distance. First of all, I'm going to take a look over here, and I do have a motor vehicle, and it has a sign on it. So we're going to zoom in and see how that looks. Okay, and I'm on a 21 times zoom, so I'm quite zoomed in here, and I can see that it's the Vision Forward logo, and it says Vision Forward. Now, I'm going to estimate I'm 100 feet away from that van. What do we think, 100 feet away from the van?
It's looking a little bit more like 92.5.
Okay, Corey says 92.5 and Jonathan says 80. I'm probably going to go with the 80 on this one. Sorry, Corey. So about 80 feet away, and I'm at almost the maximum zoom. And yes, it is a little fuzzy, but I can make it out. Now, there's a number of signs down here that are at the end of parking spaces, and the one that's at the same distance away from the car, unfortunately, it's too fuzzy. I'm not able to say what it says. So let's start looking down the line here, and as I look down the line, they are getting closer. And I'm able to read one, let's see, that's probably, I'm going to say 40 or 35 feet in front of me. I can read that that's a reserved parking sign. Now, it is still a little bit fuzzy, but I am able to make out what it is. And yeah, there's a sign even closer here, and that one is even sharper. So, a little difficult to read in the distance if it's a long way away, as you might expect. But just looking around at the cars and things like that, I'm able to obviously make out the shapes of the cars pretty nicely, no big problems there, and I can see the screens pretty clearly. Now, it's not the sunniest of days here at the moment, so that probably plays a part, but the screens are easily visible, and of course I could go into the settings here and I could change the brightness of the screens as well. And so if it was a brighter day, I always have the option of setting manually the brightness of the screens just to see if that makes a difference. So I just changed them manually to 100%, but I think they were actually already at 100% because it looks pretty much the same here. So maybe this is as bright as they go. But yeah, certainly not too bad. Again, results may vary, but it does seem to be working pretty well on this particular day, which is a little bit overcast.
All right, we have performed all of our tests. Do you remember how many tests you did?
I believe that was a total of 9 tests.
Well, the number one was the overview, and then 8 tests.
Okay.
So you were right and wrong at the same time. Very good, very good. So all of our tests are done.
Yeah.
We gave a grade at the end of the reading, and then we never gave another grade. So now that it's all over, what would you give? Pass, fail?
Overall pass, definitely.
Good.
I'm a fan of the eSight. Some of the things that I liked, the screen brightness is very good. You can get the screens nice and bright. Magnification level up to 24 times, which is a lot of magnification. Good image stabilization. I think the design is nice. It looks basically like a pair of sunglasses. It was comfortable to wear. And they've got the basic modes that you would want, not too complicated. You know, it's got an easy to understand button layout, and it's simple to do what you want to do. So overall, Corey, I was pretty impressed.
Good. Good. One of the things I think is important to remember with all wearables is it's really important to get hands-on yourself. You can watch our video. We do our best to at least bring you a sampling of what the device is like. But at the end of the day, we're capturing from a phone screen, from a Wi-Fi connection. And so you might not, you know, the demos that we show today might not be exactly what you would get when you put it on yourself. Plus, it doesn't work for everybody. So it's really important to get hands-on. If you're in the Wisconsin area, or even if you're not, fly out to Wisconsin, to Milwaukee.
Yep.
I think I did say in the last unboxing video that I would buy anyone who came a McDonald's lunch.
You did, yeah.
I might even up the game. If you mention this video and fly in, I might buy you a lunch from Denny's.
What does one have to do to get a steak dinner?
You need to fly out, demo, and then buy 3 of them, which you can buy from our Vision Forward store. But no, most importantly, find a place that does demos and be able to try them out yourself to ensure that it is the right device for you.
Just a real quick, Corey, for those wondering about the field of view, it is pretty wide. As long as the headset is sat up by your face, like fitted properly, then it is pretty wide field of view, but not as wide as some of the VR headsets that we've seen in the past, of course.
Gotcha.
So with all that being said, well, Corey, we have some something else going on. As well as our produced videos, we do a live show, Tech Connect Live, and the next one is going to be on October the 10th, when we will be joined by Joe Jorgensen from Accessivite. He's going to tell us all about his accessible software for things like learning how to type, for example, and a number of other exciting applications, mostly geared towards schools.
If you want audio version only of our Tech Connect Live, you can get it in podcast form. Just bring up your favorite podcast app, do a search for Vision Forward Tech Connect. You'll find our podcast. We also have an online platform for free on-demand ACVREP credits. Head to techconnect.vision-forward.org, techconnect.vision-forward.org, and you can sign up for free very quickly and have access to our webinars, and again, free ACVREP on-demand credits.
And don't forget to put in the comments what you like about the eSightGo, whether you're using a different wearable, and your favorite piece of assistive technology. Put it all down there in the comments. We love to hear from you.
Subscribe. I would like you to subscribe as well, please.
Okay.
And like the video.
Why not?
And then share it. Okay, now we can go.
Okay, see you all. Bye for now. You said that the USB slot was a USB cable. I don't know that it matters that much, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Did I?
Yeah.